Guys, we're friends, right? Well, the sign of a true friend is when they discover something good, they share it with you. And that's what I'm gonna do today. This is Loretta's British ginger tea. It is amazing. It's got 100% ginger, cinnamon, elderberry, and manuka honey. Gotta admit, don't know what manuka honey is. Not even sure what it does for you, but it just sounds healthy, so I need some. This tea is fantastic for boosting your immune system, helps you feel good, and you'll live out loud like our beautiful British friend Loretta. Please hit her up on Instagram, order some of this tea, and she is at farmers markets and pop-up shops everywhere. You gotta get some of this stuff. Not only is it good for you, but it tastes great. Loretta's British ginger tea. I got some, you need it too. Go and order now.
Hi, this is Melba Moore, and you're watching Rude Rangers TV.
You're listening to Rudyradio, powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. I'm Terra Renee from African American Women in Cinema Organization, and this is Talk with Terra, a show that highlights fantastic filmmakers, artists, and entertainers from all walks of life. We're committed to introducing you to individuals, organizations, and projects of which you're not necessarily aware, and we do this with the intention of uplifting, empowering, and enlightening you. If you can, please share this episode on all your social media platforms. And we love it if you can text your friends and ask them to tune in. Well, we are in for an amazing time. Hold on to your seats because we have a global guest this evening. One that I cherish so dearly and met a little while ago, and we have been hanging on to each other since. She is an amazing leader in the community and an artist. And also, too, if you've been listening to our show recently, you know that this is the 22nd African American Women in Cinema Film Festival Series Edition, where we are featuring folks who are participating in the festival. And I'm happy to share with you that this young lady was one of our judges. She served on our judges juror this year for the films. And so we're going to talk to her about that as well. But right now, please help me welcome Miss Edna Granger Thomas. Hi, Edna.
Hi, Terra. How are you?
I'm good. So good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, you're just awesome. You're just awesome. So I want the audience to know why I'm saying what I'm saying. Can you please talk about what you do and how did you get started doing that, which actually, led you into media, which is part of the way how I met you?
Yes. Well, first of all, a little while ago was like quite a little while ago, right? I think we're going up for 20 years, just saying.
Well, I'm trying to keep my youth on here.
Well, okay, so let's hold on to our youth. I'm with you.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, so, I'm a graphic designer by trade. I went to Parsons School of Design. I was in publishing for 30 something years. And I still do a lot of graphic design, a lot of art. And I was doing art for Musa, Sheikh Musa Drummond, who's the chairman of Peace December, and Adopt a Friend. And so I met him, and he hired me to write a song for him. And I wrote a song, and my husband, Ron Granger, did the music and orchestrated it. And that became like one of his biggest songs, UAC.
Okay.
And they just play that. And then from there, I just stayed with Peace December. Once I learned what it was about, I was like, you know what? This is a movement. And that was 2012. Yeah. Peace December started in 2010. 2012, I came along. And I just took all of my passions and talent and love for my people that I learned advocating for seniors. You know, because as an artist, you're never with a whole bunch of people. You're just in a little small group. So when I started advocating for seniors, it brought me back to my personal roots. And then I was able to see my community and see what was needed and realize that, okay, I've been given chances, but my folks don't even know that there's chances out there.
Wow.
Which is actually how I got into graphic design, because I was a member of the art directors group of the Black Art Directors Group in New York back in the day.
Okay.
In Harlem, I had no idea what an art director was. All I knew was I could draw a little bit, you know, and I thought I wanted to be an interior designer. I still do a little bit of that, you know, my power tools. And once I started producing, I started out with a gospel aerobic show.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yes, under Maintaining Temple Inc., which is a company that I still carry.
Okay.
Yes, it's gospel aerobic show designed to tap into the quiet time that most of us women have to have.
That's right.
A family. You know, you get up early in the morning. You have to get up early, 5, 6 o'clock before anybody, just to have a little peace in your life. So I designed that, and I hired my now husband, which is married. But all of that showed me the need that there still is in our community with our people. And when I say our people, I mean our people as human beings, you know, as the non-privileged,
right?
But the extremely talented. And Peace December gave me a platform to express all that and bring all of that in.
Wow. And you're, so Peace December is in multi-countries, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We have about 14 chapters in Africa. We have 2 chapters in Florida. As a matter of fact, one of the chapters in Florida was established because I also sit on the board of EIUMT. It's an entertainment music industry. And so one of our chapters was established because one of my co-board members has a brother that was killed by domestic violence. So there was nothing out there for men experiencing domestic violence. And so her whole focus is to create a community for men and their families and their children, because there's a lot of men that has taken their children.
Really? Wow.
Yes. It's not spoken about. You know, men don't want to talk about that, but they really have an intense need. So that's her whole focus. And Peace December chapters are built because there's a need in certain communities, in certain areas, in all over the world, actually. Like coming to Peace December, I always thought that ethnicity was black and white. but since I've been with Peace December, and I learned that in Africa, the tribes are battling against each other because of ethnicity. I remember the first time I heard that, I asked Sheikh Musa Drame, I said, I don't understand. How can they have ethnic wars? Aren't they all the same color?
Oh,
Wow.
So
that's how I learned. And it's crazy because I had to be like old to realize that ethnicity is only of color in America.
Wow. Well, that's a very rich path and trajectory that you're on, and thank you so much for sharing that. So can you pivot to entertainment? You certainly talked about the song that you wrote, and I heard it. I love the song, and you performed so well. And you're welcome. And so I know that you were in several productions, such as theater. Can you share a little bit of that?
Yes. Well, all my life I've been comfortable behind the camera. And I'm not ashamed to talk about my age, because when I was 50, I started acting.
Well, go ahead. Wow. Awesome. Go ahead, Miss Edna.
Yeah. And it came so unexpectedly too, because Ron was doing the music for this production. And the writer producer, Lee Kirk, asked me if I would be the lead. And I'm like, I have not acted since high school. Okay. We came out, Ron and I came out with a CD that I wrote and designed and produced, and he did all the music, but so I was comfortable with the singing part, but I was like, oh, okay. So I said, you know what? I'll be a understudy. And so she said, okay, I'll have, I would have a couple of performances. So I did. I did it first time. I was like, okay, because Ron is really not easy giving out compliments. Okay, to me. I have to earn it. And that's okay. That's okay. But the second time I did it, he said, yeah, you could tell you studied. Because, well, okay, let me go back a second, because he told me, he said, well, these people, they eat and live and breathe and drink acting. He said, you can't just do this with raw talent. And I just, anytime somebody tell me I can't do something, I'm like, okay, watch me.
There you go. That's that fire. Well, we'll be right back after these messages. You're listening to Talk with Terra, presented by African American Women in Cinema, right here on Rudy Radio.
Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS and the Make the Grade Foundation for Education. You're listening to Rudy Radio.
We're having a conversation with African American filmmakers. Join the African American Women in Cinema Filmmaker Series at the Clubhouse, presented by I Am the Color of Beautiful Global, every Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. AAWIC on Clubhouse. Join us on the Clubhouse app for this inspiring conversation. Hosted by Karen Moore, founder of I Am the Color of Beautiful Global. Join us this Monday at 6 p.m. on the Clubhouse app for African American Women in Cinema's Filmmaker Series.
Hi, I'm Harry O'Confetti, International Formula One driver. I sped to get to Long Island Telecom before they closed. I need to get one of these fantastic deals that Long Island Telecom has, because you can't beat the price anywhere else. Oh, get away from that car. What are you doing? Freaking kids playing with the car out there. Anyway, I'm glad I got here. Wait, what do you mean you're closing? I gotta come back tomorrow? What's your number? 631-833-9679? Oh, stop writing me a ticket.
Hey, this is Jewel Taker from the Jewel Taker Show on Impact Network. Also, you can watch me and my family on The Tankers on Prime Amazon, or watch me and my sister's Chatter Talk show on Fox. So me and my girls, Dr. Dee Freeman, Monique Eilert Mosley, Real Talk Kim, and Holly Carter, and you're watching Rudy Radio.
Welcome back to Talk with Terra. I am Terra Renee from African American Women in Cinema, and today we are talking with the global leader, Miss Edna Granger Thomas. And Edna, I'm just so happy to have you here today because you're really shedding some light on some very, very needed topics. And so before we went on break, we were talking about your role and what drew you into acting, first acting role at age 50. I think that's phenomenal. So if you want to continue that, that would be great. And then we definitely want to get into the fact of how you became our judge for the 22nd Annual African American Women in Cinema and what that experience was all about. So go ahead, Edna. Tell us about this role.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about the African American woman in cinema.
Well, I want to hear the rest of your acting debut. You were the understudy, and then did you come out and perform after being the understudy? Okay.
Yes,
what happened with how did that happen?
Oh, well, the second time I took lessons. I took acting lessons, and I took voice lessons to just come up to where those other fabulous voices were, you know.
Okay.
And Ron said I did good. That means I was great.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, he actually won the Delco Award for that.
Really? Wow. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So now let the audience know. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were going to say?
Oh, I was going to say that's just part of that, because with Peace December, you know, you're like constantly acting. I'm speaking a lot to a lot of different people. I was raised on the Lower East Side and in a predominantly Jewish area when I was little. You know, and so we just embrace all cultures and all people. And there's so much there to give. Every month, for instance, we partner with HWPL, which is South Korean, and we speak about we speak about the different texts in a lot of different religions. So they ask one question and we talk about that, and that's to the clergy, and that's basically to bring awareness to whatever that people are more alike than they are
different. Okay, that's good. So now I want to bring you to the part where some folks have been waiting for, including myself. You were our judge this year for the 22nd Annual African American Women in Cinema. We were so happy to have you on board and watching these films made by women of color. First of all, how was that experience?
Well, I have to tell you, this was not my first time.
Right. That's correct.
I was blown away. There's some wonderful, wonderful films. It's like I just wanted to watch them over and over.
Wow.
The power and the truth in the stories that only can be told by someone who's experienced it on our side. You know, it was just
wow,
so needed. And some films just hit home so much. I was like, wow, did I write that? Anyway, I could have written that.
Wow.
So it was so to the point. You know, it's very eclectic. And you know, when you watch a film or a movie, you usually do it for relaxation.
Yes.
But when you have to get into it and you actually have to become part of it and understand and see what's happening, really feel it, you know, it's a totally different experience. It really pulls you in, and it makes you look at all movies after that with a keener eye.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. You know, Edna, we were pleased that even in the midst of the pandemic, that so many women of color were able to tell their stories in this medium, because this is not a cheap way of expression, if you will, for your talent. It can be very, very costly. And so I was happy to see the level of entries, and some of which I was able to screen after you all were completed. I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, very good storylines, and, you know, truthfully, the films tell the story of where we are as a country, a world, a people.
Yes.
And, you know, we received a lot of films, mainly in the drama category, but also we did get a lot of films in the documentary. And I thought that was very interesting because, you know, now there is this outpour of desire for more education and insight as to what people of color are experiencing. For example, when the president came to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to shed light on what happened 100 years ago and how it was tried, you know, how the folks then, and it was passed down, tried to bury that information, you know? And so I wanted to know, out of what you watched, was any of it informational and educational for you?
Yes. There was quite a bit of, well, being that that's sort of my life, okay? That's where I came from. I could really relate to a lot of, well, most of it. I could relate to what's going on with it. I have the history and you know, and the battle scars to prove.
There you go.
You know, so I wouldn't actually call it very educational for me.
Okay.
But I would call it more like affirmation that is not it's me, you know, and that when I tell a story, or when someone tells a story, you're telling the story of something that other people experience, other people go through. They have a hard time, and everybody thinks they're by themselves. Right.
Like it's an isolated incident.
Right. But when you can see that someone else is sharing your story, your trauma, or your happiness, you know, your joy. You know, because we even covet joy. It's like, this is
Yes, we do. Wow.
Yeah. So it's a perfect platform, and I think if anything came out of the pandemic that was really positive, was taking the social media that we were sort of mazed and directed to like keep us occupied and not really into the real world, right? To pull us into the world, and so that we have a platform and a way of expression. So yeah, I'm so proud of the things that people have said.
Well, that's good.
Hard work. I know it's hard work.
It is. You know, to tell the story, get everybody in alignment, so that story can be realized the way that the visionary, saw it, before they put it on paper, and to actually capture that in camera form, on film or digitally is certainly a process. So we deeply appreciate you so much for taking out the time and participating as our judge for the 22nd annual AAWIC Film Festival. And do you want to share with the audience any of your social media handles and also the Peace December website that they could visit, but also follow and like you as well?
Well, yes. You could reach us as peacedecember.com. Info at Peace December. And I am Edna Thomas Granger. We're doing a lot of things. As a matter of fact, all of our chapters on November 30th to have a candle lighting ceremony where we welcome in the new month of December, which is the Peace Month. We welcome that in. And be on the lookout for our calendar, because our calendar is full this year. We have our own film festival where we have Yusuf is going to be doing some stuff.
Our great.
Yeah, we've had our Music Piece Marathon and Out of the Mouth of Babes, where the young kids do their poetry. Some wonderful events, and I'm always on the lookout for new and interesting things for us, especially, and it's not just kids though, because a lot of us adults who has never had that opportunity to express themselves, which is one of the reasons why we had the Music Piece Marathon, where we had mothers and sons and and kids and old folks and people of all different, all kinds of things going on. It was just music, it was art, it was dance, it was everything.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, Edna, I tell you, I want to thank you so very much. Thank you for taking out the time to join me in this very special series that's highlighting the film festival. We so deeply appreciate you and your talent, and certainly look forward to supporting you and following you. Deeply appreciate you, Edna. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Good night.
Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS and the Make the Grade Foundation for Education. You're listening to Rudyradio.
Welcome back to Talk with Terra. I am Terra Renee from African American Women in Cinema, and I told you, audience, this is the special 22nd annual African American Women in Cinema series, and you are about to listen to our great president of Jurors of the 22nd annual Film Festival, Miss Kimberly Thornton. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Terra. Let me give myself some claps while we're on here. You made me sound so great. Snaps and claps. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I am so happy to have you. You are so incredible. And certainly on behalf of African American Women in Cinema, we just adore you and just appreciate all your genuine support that you bring to the organization and what you do to help us in our journey to make an opportunity for women of color to tell their stories in this medium. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So I need to let the audience just hear a little bit about your background, vast background. How did you get started? I know you were into music, which certainly branched out to film and television. Could you share with the audience, how did you get started to where you were and where are you now? And then we're going to pivot into you being the president of Jurors for the African American Women in Cinema Film Festival.
Thank you, Terra, so much for that. Well, I first started, as a child. I blessedly, fortunately grew up in the Midwest, which was the mecca for many artists like James Brown, Ella James, Bootsy Collins, George Clinton. So I was already raised around the sound of the Ohio Players, Rod Temperton, Heatwave, Roger Troutman. So I was already influenced by that sound. However, my family came from that background, and my aunt was an assistant to James Brown. So my mother and my aunt were already in the entertainment field in various spectrums. So I kind of was raised up in that as well as my family. But I also was fortunate to be in a school called the School for the Creative and Performing Arts, which was the very first one outside of the School of LaGuardia's Arts in New York. It was the first performing arts school. So in that pilot program, my brother and myself got into that school, and I studied and majored in music as well as drama. So I always had the interest for music as far as a musician, and wanted to learn the technical side of it, in addition to just being able to have the memories of what I was growing up around be influenced in my life and be able to pass that on to others. I had an innate ability to be able to detect what would be fly or what would be hot as a teen because of my musical background and because I did play instruments. So that started it. And once I attended the School for Creative and Performing Arts, it actually taught not just the musical technical part, but it taught you the business. It taught you how to be focused, how to be disciplined. And we were teenagers, which is a lot different than what teenagers today are doing, where they don't have the focus. So I'm a lot older. I was in school in the 70s and 80s, and I was able to have focus on that. And then I went to California, and I actually got initiated into that by way of the Sheila E. and Prince Purple Rain tour, and was able to move out to Oakland and became a choreographer for the local groups in the Bay Area. So that also helped me establish relationships with people in the industry. So I kept following the path of knowing the technical part, also studying the music, being a fan of it, in addition to being able to circulate myself in the circles of the music industry and the entertainment fields of TV and film as well, which led me to work at various labels. I interned at Arista Records. I worked at Motown Records. I started as an intern at Motown and then got all the way to the Northwest marketing assistant. And that led me to, fortunately, another great situation, which was working for Busted Management and Productions, which was owned by a small artist at the time named MC Hammer.
Yes.
A local artist that had a dream to see himself in a record label. And with my background of working at the record labels, I was able to come in there and develop some large departments for his Busted / Capitol Records, because then we got to the point where we were able to do a joint deal with a major record label. And then working in that capacity, I transferred over into A&R. A&R allowed me to sign on the talent, songwriters, producers, as well as be a part of directing their visuals with directors for concepts of videos. And that really broadened the horizon on so many aspects of relationships, professional contacts, and a learning experience. Because when we started it, like I said, he was a smaller artist, and we grew into this multi-conglomerate company. And from there, I've pretty much been working in TV and film around the time that Napster came in the business, and kind of the digital download changed the perspective and trajectory for everyone in the music industry. And in doing that, I had a really good friend and love of my life, Daryl Shamello Durant, that actually brought me into the business of TV and film production, along with my own son, for working in the area of credentials, because they were working TV and film production. And that kind of brought me into the business of TV and film, and that enabled me to meet so many directors, so many people, starting from the bottom all the way to the top of being executive producers themselves. So I had just the overall living lifestyle of being involved in entertainment overall.
Wow, that is powerful. That is powerful. And thank you. Thank you for staying the course, because truly you are an inspiration to many. And,
well, thank you. Thank you, because it's been a course, I'll tell you that. Working in the industry, period, be it TV, film, or recording, stage, theater, it is a roller coaster ride. Not everybody always believes your dreams. Not everybody always inspires to look at that goal, which is what your true passion and your heart is. And so, that's why I give it up to these directors, these writers, these writers, I'm sorry, I had a call coming in. I give it up to the directors, these writers, these creators, to let them know, and to let them know that, that we believe in them, that we aspire to, support them.
And that's so important, Kimberly, because like you said, I find that very talented people are sensitive, and and this industry can be very brutal to talent. I mean, just basically, if they're not what the person is looking for, I mean, not just say plain no, thank you very much, it's get out of here. It's just
right.
It's a real situation, and you really have to have what they call thick skin, but I say alligator skin, because the way that you have to navigate, a lot of times it is not, it's not fun. So
and then that plays a big part in the racism of the business as well, because there's so many people that don't get the funding, don't get the opportunities, don't even have the knowledge to be able to be in those seats until they create their own. And it still takes them such a long time. That's why I say it's a roller coaster ride. I'd love to have stayed just in music and be able to bring the TV and film to me, but it kind of worked out where it was reaching out for me. But that's not always, the opportunity that others get.
And it's true. It's true. Very, very true. Well, I want to thank you for giving us your background. And I know that the audience can hear why you became the president of Jurors for the 22nd Annual African American Women in Cinema. You certainly bring all of that to the festival. And I tell you, your work is amazing in just making sure that the judges were there and that everybody was on point. How was that experience for you? But before you answer, we have to go to break and play some commercials, but don't go away, because Talk with Terra will be back. You're listening to Rudyradio, powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. Please don't forget to share this episode on social media with as many people as possible.
Hi, I'm Dan O'Shea, Executive Director for Maureen's Haven Homeless Outreach. It is our mission to support the homeless in our community. We provide an emergency winter shelter program, a day center, and support services to help the homeless in our community. With your help, we can continue to provide services so critically needed to the homeless in our community. Please visit www.maureen'shaven.org or call us at 631-727-683.
Welcome back. This is Terra Renee with Talk with Terra from African American Women in Cinema. And today you are listening to the president of Jurors for the 22nd Annual African American Women in Cinema Film Festival, Miss Kimberly Thornton. Miss Kimberly, we were talking about before we went on break. Actually, I asked a question. You didn't even get a chance to respond yet, but now certainly looking forward to your response. What was your experience like being the president of Jurors for the African American Women in Cinema Film Festival?
It was fabulous. I've been blessed by you, Terra, as well as everyone involved with the African American Women in Cinema Festival and all its different organizations and chapters, to be a part of a growing, loving family of women and men that support us, come behind, but being able to see the works of so many people that I had not met. I think I know a lot of people because I'm from the Midwest that transcended to Oakland and then moved and resides in New Jersey by way of New York, employment. So I would assume that, I had met so many people already that were involved with stuff. And I a couple of times I've even seen people in some of these projects and didn't know that they were even working on it and might have worked on the set with them on another project. So it's been fascinating to see them outside of the zone of being on a production set on the opposite side, knowing how gifted they are on the opposite side as either a writer, a director, an actor, a sound person. Like I pay attention from working in production as to the quality of sound and the background noise. As I said before I got on here, I was very concerned that I'm outside and that background noise would be a problem because I'm more conscious of it from working in that field. So those little things became major compliments to what I already had a love and passion for. And just seeing some of the creativity of many of these young gifted and even the older ones that are coming out. I'm really proud to see a spectrum of ages now. Like this year, the festival had young all the way to, I could tell, maybe over 50, market. And I was really excited to see them step out of their comfort zone and try and create.
Yeah, that's truly awesome. And I'm glad that you brought that up because a lot of times, Kimberly, people feel like they're too old and why should I do it? But, there's an element called timing that is very important. And I believe that when you are in alignment with what's going on around you and you follow what you sense that you should be doing, there's no such thing as age. Age just go out the window because now you're in the position to bring forth what needs to be heard at the time that you're delivering it. And so I appreciate you bringing that element up. That is so crucial. I mean, any more thoughts to that?
It was just really amazing to encompass so many people that put such hard work into their projects. I could tell, who was beginning and who actually might have had a budget just based on, their projects. And it makes you look at it differently based on the content, the timing, for a short or for a feature and the storyline. So a lot of those things became very important for me to see the cinematography. And even if they didn't have it, to understand that the work that they were doing were within the writing of the story itself. And then to read the credits, I think I had discussed previously to someone, and maybe even you, Terra, that, when I read the credits, I was able to see who was family to the director or the producer. And one particular film, I think it was maybe 8 to 10 names of the same last name. And that made me feel really proud that someone, although that quality didn't match what someone that's paying at a movie theater would expect, it was still the point that they used what they did have and every member in their family to include them in that so that they could be a part of that.
That is awesome. That's awesome. And you're right, because a lot of times there is not the resources readily available. But what do you have in your possession that you could use to make your dream manifest? And I'm glad that you brought that out. When in looking at the projects, was there anything that triggered anything for you? Anything that said, that caused you to pause and have a pleasant and favorable and fond memory of anything?
I think all the content did. That was the great thing also about being a part of this African American Women in Cinema Festival, is that I always get to see content that there's some piece of that content that excites me and motivates me. Where there's a storyline or it's a subject. We just came out of the pandemic and Black Lives Matter was very important, but someone else brought up, just women of all races were important in the short doc that we had featured. And I said, you know what? We got so caught up in, Black lives does matter, of course. That's the main goal. But it's also, the humanity of women and making sure that we're looked at, in a particular way of respect and security and safeness for ourselves. And that makes more women go out there and want to create. So I was glad that they brought that up in one of the short films, because that maybe had been something that might have prohibited somebody else from doing, a project or trying to create something.
That's true. And that's good. What I found interesting, Kimberly, was that a lot of these filmmakers, they were really on point with the topics and the subjects that they chose to speak about. It just really spoke to, our time that we're living in. And, how did you feel about that, about the subject matters that you saw overall? Because I know that you were just speaking about a few of them, but overall.
I'm sorry, it was a little hard to hear that. And I know that you had a lengthy, I'm so sorry. Terry,
no, it's not a problem.
There was some gentleman screaming out. He wanted my bun. So he wanted my head wrap. So it totally threw me off.
No problem. No, so what I was saying was that it was amazing when I had the opportunity to finally see some of the work after you all have done your selection, that how timely these pieces were in this era. They're almost like the creators were like prophets in a sense.
Yes.
Did you get that?
That's what I did get with the one female short that I was speaking of. I just didn't articulate that in that manner, is that, they were still speaking about all the rights. And then here we come into the month of September, where Texas, just put into law about the abortion bill, but that happened to be a subject. Love is always a subject, so it's always timely. It's never going to end. And the quarantine, I was glad to see that a couple of people had actually filmed some things in quarantine and spoke about it. I thought the writers and the content for what we had just come out of was fantastic.
And that blew me away too, Kimberly, because, it was just such a, we all came to a screeching halt when the outbreak happened. And then there was a lot of concern about people just being able to eat and have a roof over their head. And I was just sharing with our other guests that I was so pleased to see the amount of work that we were able to view. Well, you all were able to view, and that was encouraging, so these were really troopers that we had, in the festival, like in spite of it all, and
I thought about that too with the one family that pretty much produced that whole project. When I saw the credits, is that we were in quarantine and they still got it done with all their family. They might have been quarantined together. So they were able to come out with, a short from there.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, Kimberly, can you tell the audience how they can like and follow you, your social media handles?
Oh, sure. My pages are private. However, I'm on Instagram, Keep It Moving KT. I'm also listed on Twitter for Keep It Moving KT. And then they can also reach me through African American Women in Cinema Festival.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So what's next coming down the pipe for you, Miss Kimberly?
Oh, I'm dreaming of lots of money and peace and serenity. and that COVID goes away. The major thing. One of the things about COVID is that, you can't really work in TV and film like we normally did, because you can't have that many people on set. And then there's always a risk of someone coming down with COVID and shutting down the set. So currently I'm working remote on a project that I'm not going to mention yet, but I am working remote on a project, fortunately. And there's a couple of projects I would like to direct and produce myself, and a couple of shorts. But I'm looking at all types of material, and I'm taking all types of offers. I'm only passing down my collar, so.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, we want to thank you so very much. I don't know where the time went, but they're telling me that we have to go. I want to thank you so much for taking out the time to be with us, to share with the audience your insight and your wonderful knowledge. I really appreciate you, Kimberly. And I know the audience got a lot out of what you discussed here with us. And thank you, audience, so much for listening to Talk with Terra. I'm Terra Renee from African American Women in Cinema Organization. You can visit us at www.aawic.org. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Talk with Terra is made possible by Rude Rangers Entertainment. Our creative director is Rudy J. Breedy. Please don't forget to like and share this episode with as many people as possible. We sincerely appreciate you joining us today and wish you continued peace, blessings, and prosperity. See you next episode.